Hello, and thank you all for joining us once again for another episode of Up and to the Right. I'm Crystal Manu, and I'm so glad that you all are here. Thank you every week for listening and for sharing. We are so excited to share the good news of Jesus Christ through this podcast, and that would not be possible without you, our viewers, and our listeners. Now, today's episode is very special because we are in revival. It's not on the way. It's not soon to come. It is here. And this is Revival Week, and we're kicking it off with a bang. Number one, we're kicking it off with this podcast with our very own location pastors, Pastor Samson and Pastor Heady, sitting down to talk about what is revival and how we can all be a part. Now, I want you to mark your calendars to make sure you do not miss our revival experiences. They begin this Thursday here at the Oklahoma City location and go on through Sunday. And if you're watching and listening to us from Guthrie, they are going on at the Guthrie location at each experience. We have 3 weeks with 6 speakers. And I want to give you a quick rundown of who our speakers are. If you're not familiar with them, I encourage you to just take a moment and look them up on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. I promise you are going to be impressed by the lineup of speakers that we have coming. So starting this week, this Thursday, and for Guthrie, Sunday morning at 9:30, we have Greg Ford, followed by Joel Tudman. The following week, we have Choco de Jesus and Nick Calloway. And then wrapping up the 3 weeks and 6 speakers is going to be David Perkins and Sheila Harper. Again, you do not want to miss a single experience. Make sure you mark your calendars if you're watching online or coming on site. We're excited to have you in whatever way that you decide to join us. So again, thank you for watching Up and to the Right, and I hope that you are blessed by what you're getting ready to hear.
Hey everybody, welcome to Up and to the Right. Man, I am so excited today to be here. We're not normally the people here, Pastor Heady, are we? No.
But we are here today.
We're here today.
We're going to own it like we are here every week.
That's right. Well, hey, I'm Samson Varughese, of the wonderful privilege of being our Oklahoma City pastor. And I have the wonderful, the one and only Pastor Heady.
From the Guthrie location.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So this is be pretty cool that we get this opportunity to kind of maybe talk about both locations a little bit, as well as the revival that's coming up.
That's right. Yes, we're so excited. In fact, so revival is coming up. Pastor Heady, what is going on with revival? Just tell us what that is.
Oh my goodness. So revival is just this opportunity for all of us to come together and to invite other people to come be a part of this, just to be revived in who God is in our lives, and to be able to be an encouragement to one another, bring in some powerful speakers to speak life into us, but really just to revive us. But we just have so many great things going on, and God's been doing amazing stuff. So
wow. Yeah, so that's 3 whole weeks. We got 6 different speakers. A different one Thursday night, different one Sunday. It's going to be awesome. But I don't know, like I was just thinking about, like, what's your craziest revival story?
Oh my goodness.
Do you have a crazy revival story?
Yeah, I was telling Crystal that I think we were all talking about it in our social media meeting. Just there was this one time, there was this guy. And, you know, sometimes preachers have towels, you know, just like a little hand towel or a handkerchief to kind of touch themselves with the sweat. This guy had this big old white towel on the podium, and at some point he went for that towel, and it was just gigantic, and he kind of touched himself up, but then all of a sudden he let it go.
Yeah.
It was a dry towel, like a bathed towel, like that you use to get out of and I mean, for some reason, my uncles and aunts, we were all young. We just thought that was the most hilarious thing. And I think we went home and got bathed towels and started acting like we were him. But it was just crazy stuff, like crazy good stuff. Because I mean, those are moments that we still remember and talk about.
Yeah.
And I think God uses those kind of moments for our lives.
I remember one time when I was a kid, we were at, you know, like the old like camp revival type things. It was like a student ministry camp thing when I was probably like a senior, maybe a junior in high school. And we went to, it was like so it's a camp thing. So you're there, you're up all hour. You never sleep at camp. If you have kids that are going to camp, you just know they don't sleep for like, 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And so we're up all night. And so the pastor who's preaching is going, I mean, he's just preaching, right? and I'm starting to like doze off in my seat. And it was just leaning over, going to sleep. And then I guess he had asked everyone to stand up. And we're all sitting in these like metal chairs, like you see those little metal folding chairs. And everyone stands up, and I'm the only one seated in this whole auditorium. And there's like 400 students there, right? And I'm the only one seated. And then the guy next to me, he was a buddy of mine, or not really a buddy of mine, right? Yeah. But he's like trying to get me up. So he kicks my chair. But it was like one of those moments where like the pastor had everybody just like stay quiet. It's like pin drop silence. Yes. He kicks my chair, this huge clanging noise throughout the whole auditorium. Everyone turns around, looks at me, and I'm just like,
oh my goodness.
Like wiping drool off my face. So that's how I revived in that moment. Yeah. I needed to be revived after that.
You mentioned before that you talked about 3 weeks, six speakers.
Yes.
And so here in Oklahoma, at our Oklahoma City location, we have Thursday night, we have Sunday night.
That's right.
Sunday. We have Thursday night, Sunday. In Guthrie, we have a 9:30 experience and an 11 experience. So both those speakers are going to be different. For the 9:30 and the 11 is the way that we're getting in our 6 speakers in 3 weeks. And so I just want to make sure that people know, you can come to Guthrie on Sunday and get 2 different speakers. So it's going to be a very exciting time.
That's right. And, in the past we've done revival, we've done it like back-to-back nights, but we really wanted this to be something that is special for our church. So we're doing it kind of 3 weeks long, the whole month. But we're doing it in a way where anybody can come on a time that they're normally coming to church. Yeah. But we know because you got the special, you might want to plan to come on a Thursday and a Sunday, or come to a 9:30 and 11, right? Yeah. So that you're planning accordingly, preparing for that. But Pastor Heady, like, what does it really mean though? Like, what does it mean for us as a church? Because Pastor Rodney actually shared this with our team not too long ago, where, people are always asking like, Pastor, we need to pray for revival. We need to pray for revival. And the reality is, we kind of see God already moving. Yeah. Right? God's already moving in our church, and it's kind of a special thing right now. Tell me a little about kind of what you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I think so too. There's been some amazing things coming out of COVID, right? We had this year of COVID, and God was doing some amazing things during that COVID. Where thinking about revival, I feel like he was reviving us in one of the most craziest times ever. And some of that was through baptism. Yeah. Like we were baptizing people every week. And we found a way to do that in swimming pools and just different ways to continue to baptize people and see God doing miraculous things. The ability to see people, our reach online was crazy during the pandemic. So all these things, to me, I feel like God's already been reviving us, and we need to acknowledge how good he's been to us in those times. But you never can go wrong with just saying we're going to have a straight up revival and just spend this time with this many great speakers to speak into our lives. But God has been reviving for a good little time here at North Church.
Oh, absolutely. So let's talk about groups. Like meeting earlier today, I called you Mr. Small Group. Because like if anybody represents what it means to like live life in community, it's you. Yeah, right? You're all about it. But I love the way that God is moving in our North groups, right? And we've just seen so many people starting to connect and really find that glue that keeps them coming to church, right? Yeah. Keeps them committed to church and growing in their faith, in being a part of a group, and a lot of young people too. Yeah. Like that's a unique thing right now. It's a lot of young people connected here. I talked to some group leaders yesterday. They were staying late. I left church yesterday at 1:45. There's 2 young ladies standing there talking about their North group. They haven't left church yet. Yeah. I'm like, part of me is like, can y'all leave now? Because we got to close this place.
Yeah, we want to lock up. Yeah. We've been experiencing some of that in Guthrie too, where I feel like that's small group, right? When people want to hang out after the experience is over in these little pockets of just doing life together. But we've now been pushing them at the Guthrie location outside onto the porch.
Come on.
They can stay out there as long as they want to.
That's right.
We've locked down. They're hanging out. Kids are running all over the place. But at the same time, it's like, I love this. Yes. I want to see more of it, where people are just connecting in these smaller groups, even beyond the Sunday experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I want to encourage you, if you're not part of a group, I think that's one of the most life-giving things that you could be part of. So I talked to you a little bit about earlier. June for our family, for the Varughese family, June has been like the worst month of 2021, right? It's been like 2020 all in 1 month for us.
It was like COVID in 1 month.
Yeah, it's like everything that could go wrong went wrong. But one of the things that was really encouraging for us was actually our group, because of the way that folks in our group stepped up to help us and to just encourage us, send us messages, just be there for us. It was honestly one of the most special things for us. And we're not saying, oh, you got to join a group. So like, when you go through a bad time, but actually kind of,
no, for real. No, seriously. Like I think about Acts 2, right? Where it talked about they were doing, going from house to house, having church. But in that, one of the things that it talks about is like, they were helping one another meet needs, right? It's so much so that they were willing to go and pay, sell their stuff in order for the people that they're doing life with, needs were met. And so I think a lot of being in small groups, the important reason is for those hard times. Yeah. And so you won't get lost in the big crowd of things. You are in a narrow place where you can be acknowledged, and people will know when you're going through hard times to help you get through those transitions. Yeah. So
and talking about community, I think a place that community happens is in serving, right? You see the way people are serving in the church. To me, that's what revival looks like. Yeah. There's a unique passion right now I'm seeing in folks, in our volunteers, the way that they're giving above and beyond, the way that they're serving. It's special. I don't know if you're seeing that with what's going on with Guthrie.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff that we're seeing is that people are starting to come back because of COVID, and one of the first things they're trying to do is get plugged into serving. Yeah, and so that's always a need for us. I think I was having a conversation with a couple of younger gentlemen yesterday, and they were talking about people serving. And I was like, well, the crazy thing is, like, Jesus even acknowledged the need of people serving. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he said to do was to pray. Yeah. And so I think we just keep praying that God continues to help this thing revive in us to where we want to continue to meet. Because serving is really about meeting each other's needs. Like, there's a need that happens on Sunday mornings and beyond that needs to be fulfilled. And I think we jump in there and do that, and that helps others. Yeah. Be a blessing to others.
And you mentioned prayer. This next Tuesday, not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, the last Tuesday of the month, we do our prayer meeting, in which happens to be right in the middle of our revival experience.
Yeah. So it should be jam-packed.
Yes.
If you're part of a revival and then there's a prayer meeting during the span of that revival, you should be at the prayer meeting. Come on.
Yes, you should. But, Pastor Heady, I shared this with our OKC folks, I think like the 10 and the 11:30. But, last Tuesday, I think you were actually right next to me. We were going around praying for people. Yeah. It was at the very end of our prayer meeting. And I saw this young lady, and our eyes met, and I knew she was looking for prayer. And I walked over and I just prayed with her. And like immediately, as I'm praying, like sometimes you just know it's like the Holy Spirit, because it's like just these drops of tears. Like I feel like falling on my hand, right? And there was just like this prayer that I prayed over her. Just I could tell like the thing she was struggling with in that moment was just her identity in Christ, who she was. And I just began to just pray for her, just to realize that she is a daughter of the King. And there's that freedom I could see that she was experiencing in that moment. But there's so many times of just us coming together. And I've just been seeing that more and more every time we gather, more and more people being a part of those prayer gatherings. I don't know if you're seeing that. It just feels so special to me, right?
Yeah, no, I think prayer is something where it's the access to God. Like us just come, like why wouldn't you want to just come with your brothers and sisters and just talk to God and just thank him and acknowledge him for who he is, to enter his courts with praise, and then just keep praying. And he said, the Bible says that we should do that without ceasing. So
yeah, that's beautiful. And then obviously gathering together, I think that's where we see revival, right? And people just coming regularly. And that's one of the things I'm seeing more and more is people coming back to church. Yeah. And, I don't know what I actually saw a family yesterday. It was their first weekend back since COVID, actually a little bit before COVID too. Wow. But they were so excited to be back, and they came forward for prayer at the end. But it's kind of like when you see your family. I don't know. You treat everybody like you haven't seen like family in a long time, but it's kind of like that, you know. Like I haven't seen this person in a really long, and I just want to like just hug them and love on them. To me, that's what revival feels like. That is just welcoming back. You know?
No, that is so good. Yeah, I think that is a part of the revival, is us coming together as a family, intentionally seeking God's face, wanting something miraculous to happen, something super special. And not that you don't want that on your normal Sunday morning, experiences, but revival is like, no, we're really going after this.
Yes.
We really want to see God show up in the most craziest ways in our lives and in the people's lives that's in the room. But a part of the going back to that gathering and that revival, which every week I think you should be part of a gathering. In Hebrews 10:24, it talks about this is the time that we can encourage one another to love and do good.
Yeah.
In that loving and doing good, when you take that back out to your communities and in your neighborhoods, and you begin to do that, I think now you're having this opportunity for revival to happen in your city, in your community, because you're going out and you're being the hands and feet of Jesus. And there's nothing more that's going to draw people when they start seeing you do miraculous things, like just showing up in people's lives. Yeah. That's what Jesus did. Jesus went around doing things for people, and people started being drawn to that. Big crowds started following him. Imagine all of us as believers out in our cities, in our communities, being intentional about impacting people's lives through doing good and loving them.
Yeah.
Come on, revival.
Come on. And you know what I love about revival is it gets us out of that being like these crusty Christians. You know what I'm saying? So in our reading, and maybe this stuck with me because we just saw it with The Chosen last week of Jesus healing the man on the Sabbath, right? And then the Pharisees are real angry because they're like, well, why would you heal him on? There's 30 more minutes in the day, just wait. And then, and we were reading this passage, and it was the passage of it's the guy with the shriveled hand. Right. And Jesus' disciples had just eaten some food, and they were like, well, you're harvesting on the Sabbath or whatever. And so the Pharisees look at Jesus and they're trying to trap him. They're like, is it right to do good things, to heal on the Sabbath? And Jesus said, like, man, how many of you if your horse or your donkey or whatever falls in a ditch, like you wouldn't go pick that creature out. Like you wouldn't save that. It's not bad to do good things on the Sabbath. But what I took away from it is, sometimes we as believers put these limitations on God of like what God can do and where God can do. Yeah. And for us, what revival looks like is, you know what? Coming out of a pandemic, what can God do? Yeah. How can we open? How can things look?
Come on, Jesus.
Can God move in a podcast? You don't know, right? Like,
you never know.
And you being able to say, you know what? I'm not going to put rules or these limitations on God and say God can only move this way because this is the way he moved in the past. This is the rules that I've established for God. And revival is just saying, you know what, God, I'm submitting to you. Yeah. I'm letting you do the healing work. Yeah. And you're going to do good things wherever it's happening.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so one, I want to say that I think that came from the daily reading.
Yes.
Which that's what the whole church is following along in our daily reading that we're doing together as a church. In that, I also love that Jesus said, I feel like you can correct me if I'm wrong. He said, I'm the creator of the Sabbath.
Yes.
Like, I do it. Essentially, like I feel like he's like, I can do whatever I want. I created this thing. Do you not know who I am?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. It's like, no, God can do whatever he wants. He's the creator of us.
Yeah.
He created this whole thing. He can change it up however he wants to. And I think when you have that mindset of like, oh, no, God created this thing. Yeah. I didn't create it. God did. And so I think just revival is about showing up and having this thought that like, God's the one that did all this. Yeah. He can do whatever he wants with it. And we want to see him continue to do good with it.
That's right. Well, we're so excited. We're excited for revival, not just as a series that we're doing, starting, but we're excited because God is already moving in North Church. He's already moving in Guthrie. He's moving in OKC. He's moving in Lexington, right? He's moving in Freedom House. And it's been such a cool thing over the last year to see the way that God has both grown our church in terms of not just numerically, but in terms of our character as a church. And I think it's just so special in this season. And so I want to encourage you. You know, I always like to think, we talked to our team today about this. I always like to think about, man, this weekend could be the last time someone comes to church. Your invite might be the last time that someone might invite somebody to church. And so be thinking, who is that person I can invite that maybe they give God one more shot, and this is that chance, and I am that person. And make most of those moments. Invite somebody to come and be a part of these experiences, because I know it's going to change their life. So be inviting, be praying for revival, and get ready for God to bring the harvest.
You know, one of the things that they say in sales is you try to get as many no's as you can to get a yes.
Ooh, that's good.
So I just want to encourage you to get out there and get as many no's as you can in order to get that yes, to get that one person here, because getting those letdowns is worth it if you get that one person here who needs to be here.
Come on.